You ever see a man die, but not all at once? He's smiling. He's carrying grocery bags. He's fixing the Wi-Fi. He's saying it's okay when it's not. He's nodding his way into erasure. And the worst part? He volunteered for it. She said she wanted kindness. He doubled down. She said she wanted communication. He over-delivered. She said, "I just want a man who listens." So he listened until he forgot the sound of his own voice. You ever wonder why it happens? Why the men who try the hardest are the ones who are left first? Why the ones who love loudest are the ones most easily forgotten? Here's the truth you've been avoiding. She didn't leave because you were cruel. She left because you were too kind, too predictable, too available, too much of everything. That didn't matter. And Schopenhauer knew it long before red-pill TikTok or Instagram therapists ever tried to explain it. He saw it for what it was, a paradox. A woman's lips say one thing, her nervous system says another, and between the two, men are crucified, not for doing wrong, but for believing her words instead of her patterns. Let me ask you a question no one dares speak out loud. Why do women never seem to want what they say they want? They say they want soft men, then chase the cold one. They say they want partnership, but only respect power. They say they want emotional availability, but ghost you the moment you actually open up. It's not manipulation. It's biology dressed in social language. She's not lying. She's not playing games. She just doesn't know that what she says is spoken by culture, and what she wants is whispered by nature. And nature doesn't give a damn about what sounds good. Here's the punch in the soul. She doesn't want your love. She wants your gravity. She wants to fall, hard, helplessly, without understanding why. And when she lands, she wants to feel like she found something she can't move. But you made yourself soft. You made yourself easy. You traded edge for empathy, boundaries for bonding, clarity for compassion. You thought she'd stay because you were safe. But safe without mystery is sterile, and sterile doesn't seduce. Let's pause here. Let it sink in. The more you become the man she says she wants, the less you become the man her instincts need to respect. And that, brother, is not a mistake. It's a crucifixion. A man slowly dying on the cross of false expectations, nailed there by his own desire to be loved the right way. You're not being punished for being bad. You're being discarded for being forgettable. And Schopenhauer? He tried to warn you. Love with women remains a matter of nature's will, not of personal feeling. In other words, she doesn't choose with her heart. She selects with her DNA. Let me ask you something brutal. Do you remember the moment she stopped looking at you like a god? The moment her eyes stopped glowing and started glazing over? The moment her laughter turned to politeness and her kisses felt like chores? You didn't mess up. In fact, you were more loving, more attentive, more available than ever. And that's the tragedy. You were never more perfect, but somehow you were never less desired. You thought, if I give her more of what she asks for, she'll love me more. So you tried harder, opened up more, softened, made space, became safe, and in doing so, you stopped being the mountain. You became the mud. She didn't leave because you were unworthy. She left because your devotion made you invisible to her instincts. She doesn't want a man who follows. She wants a man she can't shake. Schopenhauer wrote, "Men are more capable of objectivity, while women are instruments of the species." What does that mean? It means she's not choosing based on fairness. She's not picking based on logic. She's choosing what survives, not what submits. And survival, in her biology, doesn't come from comfort. It comes from power, not force, not violence, presence. So here's the riddle. The more emotionally available you become, the more she starts pulling away. Not because she's cruel, but because she no longer feels the charge. You became predictable, understandable, fully decoded. And when a woman can predict you, she stops feeling you. She stops being pulled toward you because there's nothing mysterious left to pull her. Desire needs tension. Tension needs polarity. And polarity requires one hard truth. You cannot be everything she wants and still be what she needs. You were told to be her support system, her soft place to land, her safe space. But what no one told you is this: women don't fall in love with support systems. They fall in love with gravity, not what soothes them, but what moves them. Not what explains itself, but what remains silent and steady in the storm. She doesn't want to hear your feelings. She wants to feel your frame. She doesn't want you to process her chaos. She wants to know yours is already conquered. And now I'll ask you directly, have you lived this? Have you ever watched love vanish? Not with a bang, but with a slow emotional fade. Have you ever felt yourself shrinking just to keep the peace? If you have, say something. Drop your story in the comments, not just for you, but for the next man who's drowning quietly like you once did. Your story could save him, because silence is where this death begins, but voice is where it ends. Let's break that silence together. Here's what no one dares to say. She's not confused. You are. You believed the instructions. You thought her words were a map. I want a man who communicates. I want emotional openness. I want to feel safe. So you followed them. You talked more. You opened up. You tried to be soft, gentle, emotionally available. You poured your truth into her like water into a glass, only to watch her grow more distant with every drop, because what she said wasn't what she needed. She didn't need more of your words. She needed your presence. That unshakable, grounded, masculine stillness, the kind of energy that doesn't explain itself. It just is. The kind of energy that makes her forget what she was angry about, that pulls her deeper without saying a word. Schopenhauer knew this. He didn't romanticize love. He dissected it with cold precision. In their hearts, women believe they exist for the propagation of the species, not for the sake of man himself. Translation? She wasn't built to understand you. She was built to feel you. And feelings are not fair. They're not logical. They're not earned. They're magnetic. Or they're not. And when she stops feeling pulled toward you, she doesn't fight it. She just fades. Let me make this sharp. You thought love was something you earned with gestures, with gifts, with proof, but love, for her, is felt, not calculated. It's not your effort she responds to. It's your energy. Effort is polite. Energy is primal. You know why the toxic guy often gets her attention? Because he doesn't try to impress her. He doesn't bend. He doesn't soften to win her approval. His presence is the message. It doesn't justify itself. It doesn't beg to be understood, and whether he's good or bad, he's undeniable. That's the word you need to tattoo on your psyche, undeniable. Let me say something dangerous. Your vulnerability will never make her love you unless she already respects you. Without that foundation, your honesty becomes weight, not warmth. Your openness becomes obligation, not intimacy. And slowly she starts resenting the very sensitivity she once asked for. So what's the truth? She doesn't want a man who feels more. She wants a man who can hold more tension, more ambiguity, more chaos, without crumbling. A man who feels everything, but is owned by nothing. That's leadership. That's what makes her trust you when her own world is falling apart. And when you stop trying to be understood and start being anchored, that's when she leans in again. Not because you asked, but because you became. If this is hitting something in you, speak it. Write in the comments what woke you up, what shifted in you. Where did you realize you've been performing instead of leading? Your truth might be the mirror another man desperately needs. We rise in clarity, but we heal in shared experience. Your voice matters. Now say it. You think you're losing her? No. You're becoming too easy to explain. She knows what you'll say before you say it, knows how you'll react when she pulls away. knows that no matter how distant she gets, you'll stay. You've become the emotional equivalent of wallpaper. Always there, always available, always predictable. And nothing kills feminine desire faster than that. Attraction isn't built on comfort. It's built on polarity. Her chaos, your control, her storm, your stillness, her doubt, your direction. It's not domination, it's not manipulation, it's nature. At war with your conditioning, you were taught that to love her you needed to soften, to submit, to constantly prove you're safe. But here's the brutal truth. Safe men don't get followed. They get tolerated. They get loved in the polite, quiet way you love a chair. Useful, familiar, comfortable, but not magnetic, not unforgettable. That's why she stopped initiating. That's why her kisses feel cold. That's why you're doing more while feeling less. Because you traded mystery for manageability. And she never signed up for that. You keep asking, what changed? Let me give you the answer that will sting now but save you later. You collapsed. Not physically, energetically. You bent too much, softened too much, explained too much. You turned your edge into empathy, and in doing so, you stopped being the mountain. You became the mudslide. Listen to me, brother. You can't bring her back with flowers. You can't revive the spark with nice texts or date nights. She's not looking for romance. She's looking for resonance. She wants to feel your gravity again. That dangerous, grounded energy that says, I love you, but I don't need to explain myself to be whole. That's what she craves, even if she can't put it into words. Now here's where most men fail. They double down on approval. They try harder, get sweeter, open up even more, and every step they take toward her validation is one step away from their masculinity. And you know what? She sees it, she feels it, and she quietly disconnects. Because she didn't want more of you. She wanted more of who you were before you tried to keep her. That man, the one who had his own world, his own silence, his own code. That's the one she couldn't stop thinking about. Not because he was perfect, but because he was centered. And somewhere along the way you moved off center to stay close to her. And in doing so, you lost both. But it's not too late. Your redemption doesn't begin with her. It begins with solitude. With stillness, with a decision. I'd rather be alone than be deluded. That's when the rebirth begins. That's when she starts feeling something again, even if she's already gone. Because women don't remember the man who gave them comfort. They remember the man who gave them clarity. If this feels like your story, say it. Leave a comment. Share the moment you realized you lost your edge. The second you traded your power for peace. Or how you plan to get it back, because your voice can break someone else's silence. We don't rise by staying safe. We rise by getting honest. Let's land this, because if you're still here, it means something in you remembers. Something deeper than romance. Older than love. Wiser than words. A force that doesn't beg. A presence that doesn't explain. A masculinity that doesn't need a partner to feel whole, but becomes undeniable when it stands alone. You were not born to be someone's escape. You were born to be someone's challenge. Not a therapist, not a provider of comfort, but a mirror that reflects back who they could become if they dared to rise. So what now? You walk different. Not louder, not harder, just cleaner. You stop talking so much. You stop asking for reassurance. You stop explaining your silence like it's a crime. Because silence isn't emptiness. Silence is power. When it's owned. She said you were too much. Good. She said you were too intense. Good. Because the moment they stop calling you nice and start calling you dangerous, you're getting closer. Not to being feared, but to being felt. Felt in a way that doesn't need explaining. Felt in a way that rewires her nervous system before you even say a word. That's what she actually wants. To orbit a man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't chase, who doesn't apologize for standing exactly where he was built to stand. A man who holds the line, not for dominance, but for truth. And if she can't meet you there, let her go with peace, with clarity, with strength, because you're not punishing her. You're choosing you. The pain you're feeling? It's not rejection. It's resurrection. It's everything inside of you remembering that you were not made for shallow waters. You were made for depth. And now, you stop asking, why did she leave? And start asking, what did I forget about myself to make her stay? Let this be the end of your confusion. Let this be the beginning of your return. Not to who you were, but to who you've always been, before the world told you to tone it down. Because real men, we don't get chosen. We get remembered. We don't follow trends. We leave impact. And when a woman finally meets one, she either rises or runs, but she never forgets. So don't be the one she tolerated. Be the one she felt. Be the one who didn't shrink to stay loved, who didn't bend just to be kept. Be the man who remembered, I am not here to be approved. I am here to burn. If this moved something inside you, don't stay silent. Leave your mark in the comments, not for me. For the man who's still trapped in someone else's story, your honesty might wake him up. And if it did, welcome back, brother. We never needed permission to rise. We just needed to stop apologizing for our fire.